Good evening and thank you for joining us on India Business Hour. I'm Parikshit Luthra and here are the headlines we are tracking. India's current account deficit for the January to March quarter disappoints, comes in at 0.2% of GDP versus market estimates of a current account surplus of 0.5%. Full-year current account deficit also coming in higher than expected at 2%. The market had estimated a deficit of 1.8%. The biggest transaction in India's corporate history could become reality in 3 days. The merger of HDFC and HDFC Bank may become effective from the 1st of July. HDFC chairman Deepak Parekh says he expects the HDFC stock to delist on the 13th of July. HDFC and HDFC Bank working towards completing all the necessary formalities for completion of amalgamation. Market closes at the day's high, with Sensex and Nifty gaining over 0.5% each. The surge in HDFC Group stock sends Bank Nifty over 1% higher. Stock exchanges rescheduled the Eid holiday to Thursday, the 29th of June. The Nifty June series will now expire a day earlier on Wednesday. Rohit Java takes charge as Managing Director and CEO of Hindustan Unilever. After Sanjeev Mehta's retirement, a veteran at HUL, Java has a tough job navigating challenges like weak demand conditions and rising competition. Stakeholders raise concerns over the current discourse of the proposed digital competition law. 58 organizations and individuals urge the government to hold an open, consultative public engagement process while drafting the bill, urge them to get smaller stakeholders on board for more transparency. Heavy rainfall expected across several parts of the country. Flood situation in Assam improves, but over 1.5 lakh are still affected. Over 300 roads blocked in Himachal. The Char Dham Yatra in Uttarakhand has been halted.
परिवार के एक सदस्य के लिए एक कानून हो, परिवार के दूसरे सदस्य के लिए दूसरा कानून हो, तो क्या वो घर चल पाएगा क्या? सुप्रीम कोर्ट डंडा मारती है, कह रही है कॉमन सिविल कोड लाओ.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi speaks on the importance of the Uniform Civil Code, questions how a country can have different laws for different people while addressing party workers in poll-bound Madhya Pradesh. The Law Commission had recently sought views and ideas on the matter. Fixtures for the upcoming Cricket World Cup announced. The event kickstarts on the 5th of October. Host India will begin their campaign against Australia on the 8th and face Pakistan on the 15th. Both matches will be played at Ahmedabad's Narendra Modi Stadium. Russian President Putin thanks Wagner fighters for stopping a civil war from breaking out. Wagner leader Prigozhin defends the mutinies as he acted to prevent the destruction of private military company. Ukrainian President Zelensky claims troop movements in all directions. Here's a quick wrap of the action on Dalal Street. Nifty, Sensex and the mid-cap index each closed over 0.5% higher after trading in the green for the better part of the day. Nifty Blank closed over 1% higher, with gains being driven largely by a sharp uptick in the shares of HDFC and HDFC Bank. The biggest transaction in India's corporate history may become a reality very soon. Deepak Parekh, the chairman of HDFC Limited, today said that the merger between HDFC and HDFC Bank is expected to be effective from the 1st of July. Parekh also added that shares of HDFC are expected to stop trading from the 13th of July, and shares of the merged entity should begin trading from the 17th. However, HDFC later clarified to exchanges that while both the lenders were working towards completing all merger formalities, the effective date of amalgamation and the record date both are only tentative at this point and subject to completion of certain formalities, including those which are beyond the control of HDFC or HDFC Bank. Speaking at an event earlier today, Chairman Deepak Parekh also said both boards will meet on the 30th of June to clear and approve the merger. This will be HDFC's last board meeting. Parekh also said that employees of both entities will not be affected adversely by the merger.
Assurances we've got from the bank and from the CEO downwards, each and every employee under the age of 60 will be absorbed. Salaries will not be reduced, and they would continue to do mortgage loans because we need them.
India's current account deficit for the fourth quarter of FY23 has missed expectations. The deficit number stood at 0.2% of GDP versus market estimates of a current account surplus of 0.5%. Lata Venkatesh joins us now with the details. Lata, take us through all the numbers.
Yes, that's right. Actually, a 0.2% current account deficit is something we would have grabbed with both hands at any point in time. But the point is, Jan, Feb, March, our services exports did so well that the earlier calculations from data given by Commerce Ministry showed that we may report a current account surplus of 0.5% of GDP. With that expectation, a minus 0.2% or a current account deficit of that order comes as a minor disappointment. The main reason is that services exports, the number released by the Commerce Ministry every month, seems to be a little higher than what has actually come to be. Those are, quick and dirty numbers. The cleaner numbers show that the services exports are more like $40 billion. The earlier Commerce Ministry numbers had indicated close to $45 billion of services surplus. But the overall deficit at 2% is not a serious disappointment. It's just a little more than the 1.8% for the full year current account deficit that the market was anticipating. Another minor disappointment has been FDI flows. FDI flows have come in at barely $6 billion in the last quarter. The year-ago quarter, it was over $13 billion. So it's less than half in the Jan-Feb-March quarter. But that was to some extent expected because we did see risk aversion. FY22 had seen a lot of money from PEs and VCs coming into startups. That money has clearly dried up. So we should be prepared for, the capital flows in the current year in the form of FDI being a little subdued. However, overall, the expectation from economists is that for the current year, FY24, India will report a much lower current account deficit of probably 1.2% of GDP. So no worries really on this account.
All right, let's focus on the Indian semiconductor sector. The Vedanta-Foxconn joint venture has modified and resubmitted an application for a silicon fabrication plant. As per the new government guidelines, sources have told CNBC-TV18 that the new application has been submitted under the 40 nanometer category, while Vedanta's earlier application was under the 28 nanometer category. In fact, IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnav told CNBC-TV18 last week that the government had asked the Foxconn and Vedanta JV to resubmit a fresh proposal, only after which an evaluation will be made.
On the Foxconn and Vedanta proposal, we have asked them to resubmit under the new window so that it can be evaluated afresh. And once they resubmit their proposal, we will be able to evaluate it and give the correct assessment.
And Rohit Java has taken charge as Managing Director and CEO of Hindustan Unilever. This after Sanjeev Mehta retired from the role, ending his 10-year tenure. Java had joined Hindustan Unilever as a trainee in 1988. He was previously Unilever's Chief of Transformation. In his new role, the 56-year-old has a tough job at hand of navigating challenges like weak demand conditions and rising competition. Shilpa Ranipeta is standing by with more details on the challenges that lie ahead for Rohit Java. Shilpa, over to you.
Well, starting today, HUL has got a new MD and CEO in Rohit Java, and he will be taking over from Sanjeev Mehta, who's been at the helm for a decade now. Now, before I get into the challenges, let me give you a brief background of Java's experience. Now, he does have a track record of performing in Asian markets. That's largely where he worked in his entire career at HUL. For instance, as a chairman of Unilever China, he made China the third largest business for Unilever globally, and as the chairman of Unilever Philippines, he led the business for it to become one of the top 10 markets for Unilever. Now at the helm of a market like India, the road ahead for Java is not going to be an easy one. Now, even as inflation slowly cools off, the near term remains uncertain for the industry, and at HUL, Java will have to now drive and bring back volume growth as inflation slowly starts to cool off, and he will also look at have to look at restoring gross margins after years of sustained costs that the company has faced. Now, consumer demand also is yet to fully recover, especially in rural areas. Now, HUL has said that the worst is behind for them in terms of rural slowdown, but dangers of erratic weather and an El Nino forecast, these dangers still loom, and that could derail rural recovery going ahead. And meanwhile, at the same time, competition also has been intensifying in the FMCG industry, especially after Reliance's foray and a whole host of D2C brands that have also come up. Now, experts also say that for HUL to get into the next leg of growth, really, a key point here that Java will have to look at is scaling up some of the big recent acquisitions that HUL has done, while also continuously keeping an eye out for new inorganic opportunities as well. And more importantly, Java has big shoes to fill in Sanjeev Mehta. Remember, under Mr. Mehta, in the last decade, the company has seen its turnover more than double. Its net profit has gone up more than 2.5 times. The stock or the market cap has also increased by over 4x. And Mehta has steered the company through some really challenging times, not just COVID, but also through environments like demonetization and GST. And HUL has clearly come out strong. So those are big shoes that Java will have to fill. Back to you.
All right, Shilpa Ranipeta, thank you very much for joining us with the roadmap ahead for the new HUL MD and CEO. Let's move on now to the digital competition law. 58 organizations and individuals have written to the government over their exclusion from the consultation on the digital competition law. The stakeholders have urged the MCA to hold an open, consultative public engagement process while drafting the digital competition bill. Moving on, the Association of Mutual Funds has raised issues with SEBI's proposal on total expense ratio. In a letter, the Mutual Fund Association has asked the market regulator to exclude transaction costs, brokerage and security transaction tax from total expense ratio, citing that these additions will impact the business of mutual fund houses. Shivani Bazaz joins us now with the details. Shivani.
Well, yes, ahead of the SEBI board meeting that is likely to discuss the proposed TER changes, CNBC-TV18 has learned from industry sources that industry body AMFI has written to SEBI raising pertinent questions over the inclusion of GST transaction costs, security transaction tax and brokerage in the total expense ratio. AMFI has said that the industry is agreeable to add GST to the total expense ratio, even though as a principle, GST being a statutory levy should be charged over and above TER. So AMFI has told SEBI that the tax can be made a part of the TER in such a way that the GST is added at all possible levels. AMFI has further said that the TER slabs in the consultation paper may need further review to add the GST impact at various levels. Further, the industry body has suggested that STT being a government levy should not be a part of the total expense ratio. In the letter accessed by CNBC-TV18, AMFI has said that since STT brokerage and transaction costs are levied based on value and quantum of the transaction, it won't make sense to add these to TER. AMFI has said that if these charges are added to the TER, this could deter fund managers in undertaking investment transactions, as there could be a possible breach of the TER limits in high churn portfolios. Industry experts believe that fund houses will have to take a hit on their management fees to avoid the breach of TER limits. Important to note that STT brokerage and transaction costs are levied upfront based on the transaction value, whereas TER is applied on a daily basis, hence annualized. In its consultation paper in May, SEBI had proposed bringing all these charges, including a GST and transaction cost, under the ambit of TER. Sources have told CNBC-TV18 that SEBI will discuss the issues raised by AMFI in its board meeting tomorrow.
All right. Thank you very much, Shivani Bazaz, for joining us. Let's move on. Union government has said the length of national highways in the country has increased to 59% in the last 9 years. Addressing a press conference today, Union Minister for Road Transport and Highways, Nitin Gadkari, said the 4-lane national highways rose about 2 times since 2014.
हमारे देश में जो रोड नेटवर्क था, जब हमारी सरकार आई, तब 91,287 किलोमीटर था और आज उसमें 59% इंक्रीज हुई। जो टोल हमको मिलता था वो 13-14 में वो 4,770 मिल रहा है और अभी टोल जो मिल रहा है वो 41,342 करोड़ है।
Goldman Sachs CEO David Solomon met Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal for the bank's board meeting in India. After the meeting, Goyal said that Solomon highlighted India's growth story and the opportunities it has to offer. The Goldman Sachs chief has also sought suggestions to bolster India's position as a leading investment destination. Russian President Putin has thanked Wagner fighters for calling off the rebellion and avoiding bloodshed in Moscow. Wagner leader Prigozhin defends the mutiny, says he acted to prevent destruction of the Wagner private military company. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Zelensky claims troop and advancements in all directions. NBC's Kia Simmons is here with the report.
President Vladimir Putin addressing a nation, but focusing on one man, while never mentioning militia commander Yevgeny Prigozhin by name, slamming what he called a militarized mutiny committed by traitors. All after that defiant new message from Prigozhin, whose rebellion rocked Russia, insisting he did not try to topple President Putin, but was protesting how his Wagner Group troops were being treated. Prigozhin last seen last Saturday night in the back of an SUV, cheered by crowds, his whereabouts still unknown, after a deal to end the rebellion. Prigozhin has been in a fierce power struggle with the Russian Defense Minister Shoigu, who he accuses of trying to undermine Wagner troops in Ukraine. Russia releasing this short video of Shoigu today with no indication when or where it was recorded. An extraordinary 72 hours that all began Friday night around 10:30 local time. Prigozhin calling for a march for justice into Russia, not a coup, he insisted. By 7:30 Saturday morning, Prigozhin, facing little resistance, takes over Russia's military headquarters in Rostov-on-Don, berating two Russian senior commanders, demanding they hand over Shoigu. President Putin then going on national television, accusing Prigozhin of treason, vowing to put down the uprising. By Saturday afternoon, Wagner troops are on the move to Moscow. At one point, video showing them just 289 miles from the capital. But on Saturday night, that mysterious deal is made. Prigozhin's march to Moscow is dramatically halted. A former Russian deputy foreign minister telling us it highlights Russian action in Ukraine.
The people are asking more and more the questions, why it's so long, why it's so long.
We spoke to Russians in Moscow tonight.
What happens now, do you think?
I don't know.
President Biden on his message to Russia.
We made clear that we were not involved.
All right, clearly the US and Europe and UK would be looking at the situation in Russia very closely. We're going to take a short break, but coming up, an exclusive with Tamil Nadu's Industries Minister on their investment blueprint, why Taiwanese sneaker manufacturers are upbeat about the state.
नया डाबर कूल किंग ठंडा तेल देखिए इसकी चिल ट्यूब का चमत्कार बताओ डाबर कूल किंग का फंडा कूल किंग तेल जबरदस्त है ठंडा चिल ट्यूब के गोले ठंडा करे फुल फुल बदन और सर दर्द यूं हो अपनाओ डाबर कूल किंग का जबरदस्त ठंडा
The MG Cluster Blackstone. Drive unstoppable.
ये गर्मी सर दर्द और थकान कुछ कर दे यार चमत्कार
नया डाबर कूल किंग ठंडा तेल देखिए डाबर कूल किंग की चिल ट्यूब का चमत्कार आओ बताओ डाबर कूल किंग का फंडा कूल किंग तेल जबरदस्त है ठंडा प्यारा जड़ी बूटियां एक जादू सा कर दे ठंडक आइसी कूल थर्मोमीटर डाउन कर दे चिल ट्यूब के गोले ठंडा करे फुल फुल बदन और सर दर्द यूं हो जाए गुल ठंडक ऐसी छा जाएगी नींद चुटकी में आ जाएगी कूल किंग तेल जबरदस्त है ठंडा
चिल ट्यूब है पेपरमिंट और कूलिंग क्रिस्टल्स के साथ 11 आयुर्वेदिक जड़ी बूटियां दे राहत और तरोताजगी
छोड़ो पुराना फंडा अपनाओ डाबर कूल किंग का जबरदस्त ठंडा
Yeah, Ajay, look at your dad. Will we be the same at his age?
Absolutely yes, if we plan our future like him.
How?
My father had invested in LIC's Jeevan Akshay, which gives immediate and guaranteed annuity at regular intervals, that too for life.
Wow. But do we have to wait until his age?
Absolutely not. We recently invested in LIC's new Jeevan Shanti, which gives deferred annuity, which means regular income after some years.
I see.
LIC. LIC's annuity plans give 10 annuity options and flexibility in receiving regular income. LIC, हर पल आपके साथ.
नया डाबर कूल किंग ठंडा तेल. देखिए इसकी चिल ट्यूब का चमत्कार. बताओ डाबर कूल किंग का फंडा. कूल किंग तेल जबरदस्त है ठंडा. चिल ट्यूब के गोले ठंडा करे फुल बदन और सर दर्द यूं हो. अपनाओ डाबर कूल किंग का जबरदस्त ठंडा.
Helps beat sensitivity fast. Sensodyne Rapid Relief.
नया डाबर कूल किंग ठंडा तेल. देखिए इसकी चिल ट्यूब का चमत्कार. बताओ डाबर कूल किंग का फंडा. कूल किंग तेल जबरदस्त है ठंडा. चिल ट्यूब के गोले ठंडा करे फुल बदन और सर दर्द यूं हो. अपनाओ डाबर कूल किंग का जबरदस्त ठंडा.
Welcome back. A quick look across national headlines. The flood situation in Assam has improved. However, over 1.2 lakh people in 11 districts remain affected. 6 people have lost their lives so far. The Indian Met Department has predicted heavy rainfall in several districts of Rajasthan till the end of the month. So far, 4 people have died after being struck by lightning. The Met Department has also issued an orange alert for some districts, including Ajmer, Bhilwara and Tonk. And news from Manipur, Indian Army shared a video on Twitter alleging that women activists had blocked roads to interfere with their operations. The Army has appealed to all sections of the population to support their efforts in restoring peace. Prime Minister Narendra Modi speaks on the importance of Uniform Civil Code, questions how a country can have different laws for different people while addressing party workers in poll-bound Madhya Pradesh. The Law Commission had recently solicited views and ideas on the issue.
आजकल हम देख रहे हैं कि यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड के नाम पर ऐसे लोगों को भड़काने का काम हो रहा है. आप मुझे बताइए, एक घर में परिवार के एक सदस्य के लिए एक कानून हो, परिवार के दूसरे सदस्य के लिए दूसरा कानून हो, तो क्या वो घर चल पाएगा? क्या कभी भी चल पाएगा? क्या फिर ऐसी दोहरी व्यवस्था से देश कैसे चल पाएगा? हमें याद रखना है कि भारत के संविधान में भी नागरिकों के समान अधिकार की बात कही गई है.
And the fixtures for the upcoming Cricket World Cup have been announced. This event kickstarts on the 5th of October and hosts India will begin their campaign against Australia on the 8th. The men in blue will face Pakistan on the 15th. Both matches will be played at Ahmedabad's Narendra Modi Stadium. Moving on, the India versus Pakistan World Cup cricket match on the 15th of October in Ahmedabad is going to have a packed stadium with fans travelling from across the world. No surprise then that hotels in Ahmedabad are already cashing in on this high-voltage clash. CNBC-TV18's Madhiya Mujawar is standing by with some numbers. Madhiya, it looks like hotels in Ahmedabad have a bouncer of their own for visitors during the World Cup.
Well, Parikshit, an absolute bouncer, I must say, by the Ahmedabad hoteliers. The World Cup schedule was out at around 12 p.m. today, and within minutes, hotels saw a rapid surge in bookings, and the unprecedented demand led to a sharp surge in rates. I went to booking.com and what I saw was unbelievable. A room for 2 adults in Renaissance Hotel in Ahmedabad for 2 nights, which is from 14th to 16th October, is quoting at over 1,81,000 rupees. The same room is available for 12,800 rupees if one wants to stay between the 1st and the 3rd of July. That is a jump of 1400%. Then look at ITC Narmada. A room booking for 2 adults from the 14th to the 16th of October is available for 1,77,000 rupees. You can book that same room for 18,800 rupees in July. That is a 9-fold jump in rates. Welcome Hotel by ITC Hotels also has a similar surge pricing in play, 1,52,400 rupees per room around the India-Pakistan match dates. That's 10 times the 14,000 rupees that room would cost if booked for early July. Most of the big brand hotels are already sold out. Some of the other hotels like Pride Plaza have also increased rates. Here a room available for 9,000 rupees if you want to stay in July would cost you 85,000 rupees if you want to stay there in October. The Ramada Ahmedabad is offering a room for 66,000 rupees from the 14th to the 16th of October, whereas that room would cost you 12,000 rupees if the booking was for July. Let me add that these rates and availability are as of 6 p.m. today. Prices might jump even higher in the run-up to the match. Clearly, these skyrocketing room rates and the surge in demand since the match dates were announced is a reflection of the sheer craze Indians have for cricket, especially for an India-Pakistan match. So if you want to go to Ahmedabad for the match, better hit up old friends who live there and hope they will let you crash on the couch.
Right, so that's a huge jump in rates, almost 1,18,000 or 1,20,000 per day during the period when the match is going to be taking place. Thanks, Madhya, for getting us that excellent report. Let's move on now. Tamil Nadu has seen some big-ticket investment commitments over the last month, with companies engaged in manufacturing, sustainability, energy, keen on a bigger presence in the state. In an exclusive chat with CNBC-TV18's Jude Sanath, TRB Raja, the state's newly appointed Industries and Investment Promotion Minister, says he's confident that 85% of the promised investments will come through.
TRB Raja, Tamil Nadu's new Industries Minister, is not new to positions of power within the state. A member of its Planning Commission, the 3-time MLA recently replaced Thangam Thenarisu as Tamil Nadu's Minister for Industries and Investments. He takes over a thrumming portfolio. The state has already netted commitments for investment worth billions of dollars from companies like Hyundai, Petronas, Cisco, Mitsubishi and Omron. And Raja is confident he will convert a major chunk of these promises into real investments.
I think a reasonable target should be around the 85-90% mark. Because, see, you can lose out 10-15% to, investors coming up with wrong decisions, or their financial closure is not happening, or some of the EA is not coming, the ECs, the environmental clearance is not coming. Something like that is quite okay, but nothing below the 85 mark.
The state's Industries Department has not specified overall employment targets for these investments, but as the state machinery gears up for its Global Investor Summit in January, CNBC-TV18 learns that quote-unquote a few lakh jobs is what the state has in mind.
We will continue to ensure that more women get jobs. Even as I speak, even this morning, we had a discussion with a big firm which is going to come up with a good sizable investment, and it's going to be almost 100% women workforce. So this is the kind of investment that we are pitching for. Even if the numbers even if the investment number is not too huge, if the jobs are bigger, then the numbers that they can provide is bigger, we would go for that.
Tamil Nadu is banking on a significant number of these jobs coming in from first-time investments by Taiwanese sneaker manufacturers, Pao Chen, the Hongfu Group and Fengte Enterprises. Pao Chen, for instance, is a contract manufacturer of Adidas and Nike sneakers across the world and will invest 2,300 crore rupees in Tamil Nadu.
Even if the investment is lower, when you're that kind of employment generation, about 30,000, 40,000 people in a factory, in a unit, is huge. That's something which we're looking for. So right now they've already come into North Tamil Nadu. They're going to Central Tamil Nadu now. The Delta districts also is on the cards.
The Tamil Nadu government has not set itself an investment target just yet and expects the $5 billion in investment commitments secured so far to grow manifold when Chief Minister M.K. Stalin and his team visit the US in a few weeks' time. In Chennai, Jude Sanath.
With that, it's a wrap on this edition of India Business Hour. Thank you for watching. News continues right here on CNBC TV 18.